Hello there, so good to have you here with us for this episode of the Excuse Buster Show, where we bust through the things that can get in your way of feeling how you want to feel and living the life you want to live. I'm Lizzy Williamson, and this gorgeous woman next to me is really here to help us break through things that are really holding us back, like self-worth, fear of failure, lack of confidence, and also give us those really practical tools to help us trust in ourselves a whole lot more and stop pushing so hard. She is the best-selling author of 2 books. It's all good. You are enough. She is a kinesiologist, a naturopath, a speaker, and a business alignment coach. How good does that sound? And we're so happy to have her here. And I'm here in her apartment, Cassie Mendoza-Jones.
Thank you so much for having me and for being here.
Oh, well, thank you for having me over. You know, there is so much we could talk about, right? And you talk about so many great things in your books, with your coaching, the workshops, everything that you are doing. I find one thing that when I have been in that place of going into a bit of a downward spiral, the thing that's I feel like has contributed to getting me there, like in motherhood and when my book came out, was expectations.
Yes.
And I know I'm not alone in this.
No. So, okay, where to start? And we were just talking about this like before we went live too. But I think that we can have such high expectations in general, but especially when we're just generally hard on ourselves, because we see what we want to be working towards or creating or receiving, and we have our goals, and then we think that there's only one way to get there, and we think that there's only one outcome, and it's the outcome that we've made up in our minds. So like, this is what I want to do, this is how I think it would be best to be, to come to me or to look, this is the outcome I want. And what happens then is it would become really, tunnel visioned. We like too narrowly focused on one way of doing something, of receiving it, of what it should look like.
Attached to it.
So attached, which means we don't see any other option. And which means if that doesn't happen exactly the way, to the book, the way that we wanted it to, then we think we failed, we think we did something wrong, we think we're a bad person, we berate ourselves, and we're not grateful for the other way that it came to us. Like what was that? I say in It's All Good often, set a goal, work towards it, and align to the goal or something better. Because there isn't just one way of receiving something, and you can set your goals and work towards them, but it's also perfect if they don't manifest or come out the way that you expected or anticipated. And we are the only ones who really damage, and well, not damage, it's a strong word, but hurt ourselves when we have such high expectations. And the little example I gave in It's All Good is I talk about when you went to kindy and you just rock up, you're 2 or 3 years old, you're like, today, you don't go up to kindy and be like, today at 2 p.m. I'm playing with Timmy, at 11 a.m. I'd like to please make a sandcastle cake with Elizabeth. You just go and you just have fun and you just see what the day brings you. And that is what we need to bring a little bit more of into everyday life. Just not having these like set rigid goals and expectations, and just softening and trusting.
I love that. You talk a lot in your book about this idea of surrendering. I love that word. Surrendering into, what's happening, letting go a bit, stop pushing so hard, trust in it a bit more so that you can find the flow a whole lot easier. What is it about that pushing that we so tend to do, and why isn't it working for us?
Good question.
Because you think, I'm going to get there, I'm just going to push and I'll get where I need to be.
I know. And when we push and push and push, we step out of trust and we step out of flow. Because again, we go back to this thing of, this is all up to me. And so when we do that, we actually stop allowing ourselves to see the other ways that we can feel supported, to see the other ways that we could do something, and to also trust that if we stepped back and just took a break, things would still be able to flow towards us. Like, it's not only up to you. And that allows you to meet whatever, like, high power, universe, whatever you believe in, whatever feels good for you, and whatever resonates within, you're meeting it halfway and you're being supported back. So I know for me, my mind will often zoom ahead. So that's one of my I know I'm leaking energy if I'm thinking way too far ahead. And my husband Nick will say, "You're zooming," and that's just like a quick call. If I can't see it yet, he'll be like, "You're zooming," and I'm like, "Okay," zip, like zip it all back in.
Yeah.
But when I zoom ahead, so, and for other people it might be zooming as well, or just worrying, or just thinking way too far ahead. You're not actually coming back into your body and just trusting that you'll know what to do when you get there. And you'll, whatever is, there's a beautiful quote by Marcus Aurelius. Oh, can I just get the book?
Yes. Get the book.
So it's, Marcus Aurelius was a Roman emperor and philosopher. And so, oh my God, let's see if this is actually one of the quotes though, because I've got little post-it things here. And otherwise I'll just paraphrase it, because he talks about just trusting that what is meant to come to you will come to you. Oh no, I don't think I can find it. Yeah, but it's just about trusting that what's coming to you. Oh, here. Love only what falls your way and is fated for you. What could suit you more than that? Isn't that beautiful? So love what is meant to come to you and trust it's coming to you, and that is perfect. Just love that. Don't look outside of yourself. Don't look too far ahead. Don't look at what you don't have. Love what is fated for you, what is coming to you already. And it's that vibe of what is meant for you will not pass you, which means you can stop worrying about the future, because whatever you're worrying about is probably not going to happen. And that also helps with releasing expectations, because when we create an expectation, it's like we think we need to plan and map and control so that everything is safe and fine.
Yeah.
Versus just staying within your power. I wrote a blog post a few months ago that had such lovely feedback, because I spoke about I wrote about not being in control, but staying in your power. We can't control the future. We can't control, as we were saying before, like someone could knock on the door now and deliver a parcel. We can't control that, but we can stay in our power about everything that's happening to us and keep calling our power and our energy back to us, which means we don't need to stay stuck in comparison, leaking our energy to something that we don't have, thinking that because someone else has it, we can't have it too. And we don't need to leak our energy worrying about the future or berating ourselves for the past, because we've called our energy and our thoughts and all of that back to us. And then we can trust. I forgot what your original question was, but I hope I...
It is. It was all about... The original question was about why the push isn't working for us.
So it's because we don't have faith and trust in our own abilities and in the support that is outside of ourselves as well. So we're like, I should control this, because if I don't control it, this is all up to me. So if I don't control this, it won't work the way I want it to.
Great. So how do we get that?
Right. So initially a bit of trial and error. So working out, noticing where you leak and lose energy and where you try to control, and giving yourself permission to let go and to not control, and to look back in your life and see when things didn't go to plan, what was the benefit in that?
Is there a time for you?
This book.
Yeah, right.
So the whole, this book came about essentially because in 2014-15 I launched a big program that I've been working on for a year that was like 6 online courses. It was amazing. But at the time of the launch, I had such high expectations of what I wanted to do with it, where I saw it going, the women that I would invite in, and it really did wonderfully. Like when I look back, just no emotion, just numbers and like feedback. People loved it, but because I was so hard on myself, it didn't match my expectations.
Yeah,
which put me in a spin.
And was everyone saying to you, but look, it's just so
it's fun, like, no, enjoying it. So I had to clear all of that for months, and our bodies hold so much wisdom and love, and then also like pain and stress. So and a lot of that guilt, grief and regret can get held in the lungs in terms of kinesiology and Chinese medicine. And so I got 2 seriously intense chest infections that year of the launch, and my lungs in the past were like a weak spot, so if I got sick it would go to my lungs almost straight away. But because I hadn't been sick in about 5 years, and then this happened twice, and it was so bad, the one night I had to make Nick sleep at my parents' down the road, because I was too tired and sick to get out of my bed to go to my old room, but I was coughing so much that he couldn't sleep, and I was like, just go to my bed and go to my old room so you can sleep tonight. My mom was like, why didn't you come? I was like, no, Nick was... I couldn't even leave the room, I was so sick. So, and it was all this guilt and grief and regret for what I should, and I write in the book what I could have done, what I should have done if I was stronger, smarter, didn't spend so much, because I spent like tens of thousands of dollars in this project, and it just took longer than I thought to pay it back. So what came out of that whole experience was this book. So that's my or something better. That's what happened when things didn't go to my plan, but they followed the plan. And it's that kind of thing where, you know, when people will write a story or they write something and they say, you can't make this stuff up. It's that kind of thing. It's like you wouldn't have thought this would happen. If someone had said to me at the launch of that program several years ago, oh, it'll still do really well, but it won't do as well as your incredibly like blinding sky high expectations. But then you'll write your second book with Hay House. I'd have been like, what? How? Like, so you just have to let go of the how sometimes and trust that you won't fall. Yeah.
So what was your journey from lying in bed there, chest infection, to getting to the place where you're writing about what you're writing about?
Yeah. So much forgiveness work.
Right.
So much forgiveness work. I'm so sorry that I thought that I should have done this and this. I'm so sorry that I gave myself such a hard time.
So you're saying this to yourself?
Yes.
On a regular basis?
So often.
Okay.
I did kinesiology balances on myself. So like finding out how I was feeling, deciding how I'd prefer to be feeling, and then muscle testing and working out what I could do to clear stress around that. So you can do that yourself by writing in your journal, this is how I'm feeling. This is how I prefer to be feeling. What's the gap? Like, how can I, like split the difference? Like, how can I get from there to there?
Yeah.
What do I need to do? What do I need to say? What do I need to let go of? Who do I need to speak to? What do I need to eat? How do I need to move my body? Do I need a therapist, a kinesiologist, a massage? Do I need to go to like, you work out what you need most in that moment to clear that stress. And what kept coming up for me was heart chakra, heart, pain, self-love, receiving love, giving love. So it was like, you're not giving yourself enough love about this. You're not letting yourself receive love from others and yourself. There's heartache and grief around this, and all of that was just holding me back. So then I was like, well, I'm so out of flow, I'm so stuck, I'm not in alignment, there's no momentum. And I had to clear all that too to get back into my flow and back into my momentum. And that's when I realized, and again, I write about this and it's all good, you don't have to be perfect to be in alignment. And I was actually just talking about this on a podcast interview this morning. I'm like, you can get a parking ticket and still be in flow.
Yeah, right.
Like,
it's not the universe telling you, like, you're getting this wrong.
Exactly. Like, maybe you just didn't read the sign right, and it's a loading zone and you thought you could, like, it doesn't mean that you're being punished for something. It doesn't mean you've done something wrong. Yes, there are lessons in everything, but sometimes we take things so deeply personally that we hold ourselves back and we create so much tension and friction and rigidity and pain and heartache when we could forgive ourselves and be like, okay, that's what I did. I did the best with what I had at that time. With the information I had, with my experience, with my goals, with whatever I wanted, I did the best I could. I'm going to send myself love and compassion for doing that, thinking that, being that, feeling that, calling that in. What can I let go of? And with that forgiveness, how can I move forward? And then you can see how you don't need to have the expectations because you trust yourself anyway. And it also shows you that even if this shit does hit the fan, you're okay. Like, you can pick yourself back up, integrate, recalibrate, and use all those lessons to move forward without berating yourself again and again and again and again. Yeah.
And the forgiveness part of it, do you find, you do kinesiology,
Yes.
you do writing, forgive yourself. What's a wonderful way to forgive yourself, do you think? How do you work towards that?
It can be as simple as writing out stresses, fears, things that you are holding on to, and looking at the piece of paper and saying, I forgive you. Like, it doesn't have to be more we try to be like, it's this complicated thing that I don't have the secret recipe for, but it can be as simple as you saying, I'm gonna let this go and I forgive myself for that, or I forgive someone else. And the thing with forgiveness work is you don't have to tell the other person, like, it doesn't mean you're gonna be best friends now. It might be someone that really hurt you. You don't have to then call them up and say, I forgive you. You totally can, but you can just also within yourself forgive them so that you let go. You know how they say when you hold on to, I'm totally paraphrasing, but when you hold on to bitterness or resentment, or if you don't forgive someone, it's like you drinking the poison. So it's like you're just pulling all the poison out. You're not telling the person that you've done it, but you get to forgive and release yourself.
If you're watching or listening, it might be that you're thinking, yes, there's someone I really want to forgive, but it's so hard.
Yes.
How do I actually do it? What can I do every day that's going to help me with that?
I think it's important to think of, I don't say this for someone to think that's selfish, but think of the benefits you'll receive when you've forgiven that person. Because if you don't, you can feel angry, resentful, bitter, all that every time you think about that person or see that person. So it's a daily practice of compassion and forgiveness, and it's by intention and by thought, and then you can write it out, but you can also, and by meditation, yoga, running, like whatever you do to clear and release and rebalance, that can be your intention before you go for a run, or before you go do a gym class, or before you go to yoga. And especially in yoga, they'll often say, the teacher will say, set an intention for the beginning of class. It could be forgiveness, and it can be, I say in It's All Good as well, don't berate yourself for how much you need to forgive yourself, because then you completely, like, it's not the point.
Yeah.
So, and I even make a joke, I'm like, I was giving myself a hard time for how much forgiveness work I had to do in that period. And then I was like, this is defeating the purpose. Because then you're giving yourself a hard time about the fact that you gave yourself a hard time. Like, that doesn't help.
We're so hard on ourselves, aren't we?
Yeah.
Really, really hard on ourselves.
So, and that can also then be something for like forgiveness and self-love for that.
Yes.
Just letting go and trusting yourself and trusting the universe, the higher power, God, whatever it is that you put the rest of your trust and faith in as well. Yeah.
You talk a lot about clearing.
Yeah.
It sounds, even just the word sounds fabulous. Clear is going to clear this stuff. What is that?
So, it's a good question. It's whatever you as an individual need to feel the way you want to feel. So it's a very broad response, but it's like, do you want to feel free and aligned? What do you need to do to feel that way? So it's a letting go, it's a releasing, it's a decluttering of physical stuff, mental, like thoughts, limiting beliefs. With love, releasing relationships that are not benefiting you or supporting you, or that you don't feel good in anymore. It's like this, I see it as this like energetic tidy up, where you call your energy back, you clear out what you don't need, so that you can clear your way, so that you can move forward. Yeah. And in terms of energy work, if you in terms and kinesiology, when you're clearing and aligning your energy, you are releasing and letting go of, and lovingly detaching from the stuff that feels like it's holding you back, or things that if you feel like your energy is being leaked to people, places, situations, events, future, past. It's like this real tightening, like not tightening, but this calling in of what you need to move forward. And feeling really confident to release what you don't need anymore.
Yes, because I guess we do hold on to things, and perhaps it can feel very scary as well to let go of some of those things.
Yes, and that's why I think any kind of body work, exercise, and drinking lots of water when you're doing clearing work. So if you're doing lots of forgiveness work, you might actually get thirstier because you're shifting and clearing energy. So drink lots of water, get more sleep, go for a swim, go to yoga, sweat out something. Like if our bodies are holding on to stuff, our bodies can also release as well, right? And often people, especially in yoga, if you're in specific poses, the teacher might say, we're in this pose, it's a hip opener, you might feel a bit emotional. And then people can feel really emotional because you're releasing stuff that's stuck in the hips, or you'll feel things in your body. And so it's also a call to release that. And there can be acupressure points that you hold. So you could do a quick Google, like, what's the best acupressure point for clearing the lung or releasing the lungs?
No way. And so what would it say if you did that?
So it would depend. So
you press on
there's
something.
points here, K29.
Yeah.
So you can press on them. You can rub like this to clear. There are heart points all here. There are lung points all here. Here's a good lung point if that's all. Like, so you can hold the point and just give it a bit of a massage, and just take deep breaths and think about what you're clearing out. Yeah. So that's one way through. You just have to find what works for you and try all the things until you find what works for you. How do you want to clear your energy? How do you want to realign and reset? It's like a reset and a decluttering.
A lot of people really love that word reset as well. I do as well. I know when I speak at Golden Door, the health retreat, A lot of people say, I'm here to reset.
Yes. And really what they're saying is, I'm here to let go of what I don't need and call in what I do, what I want, right? That's a reset. To me, that's what that feels like.
Yeah.
And it's like, my energy's been leaking in a million places, so I'm calling it back, and I'm tidying up my boundaries, and I'm moving forward with the way I want to be feeling. So that's another way of clearing your energy, balancing, realigning, all of that.
Yeah. So what's your daily practices look like?
Yeah. So I don't have a specific thing that I do each day. Like some people love their morning routines. My thing is that I do what I need each day as I need it, if that makes sense. So I don't put pressure on myself. I don't have a practice where I'm like, I should do this, but I have things that I love that I do within the week consistently. So I will usually always start my day with exercise. So either a walk or yoga or a strength class or Pilates or something where I'm just getting my body moving.
Yeah.
Especially if I'm sitting down to write that day. I find that moving my body before I write is so helpful for focus and productivity. But in saying that, I also love to end my work day with yoga. So I will sometimes do a walk in the morning and yoga in the afternoon. Also depends on where the teacher is. Like if I want to go to the teachers that I love their classes the most, so I plan my week around my yoga schedule.
Do you feel like when you do strength work, be it yoga or a strength class, whatever, do you feel like it has an impact on the way you feel?
Yes, so much. Yeah. And my husband is ex-lawyer, current strength coach, and he's amazing. So he'll just walk past the office there and he'll look into the room and he's like, sit up, chin in, and he, what's it called? T-Rex arms. So he'll be like, make sure you're sitting at your desk like this.
Oh, right.
And he'll come in and he'll be like, because I'll write like this sometimes, and then I get a sore neck and I wonder why. So he'll be like this.
I hope he gives you a kiss at the same time.
So, and I go to his strength classes at Agoja in Bondi. So that's also great because I trust him as my trainer, and he's so amazing at it. So I trust all the adjustments and everything. But I feel so much better and stronger in my body. And what I find is that especially when I'm writing all day, the yoga will help release my hips and back and shoulders. So that's really important for me. And Nick also gives me exercises for my hands, like mobility exercises, because I'm typing all day. Yeah. And my wrist gets really sore.
Yeah. So what does he get you doing?
So this one, you go like outwards and inwards.
Yeah.
And then you can even hear I'm cracking.
Yeah.
What else does he do? You do like this and then in, and it actually feels amazing.
Oh,
like
yeah.
that. And then he's gonna laugh if he sees, because I forgot the other one. But he also gives me these like rubber band things that you put over here, and they're specifically for this, and you stretch them out. So you could just use hair elastics, but like quite tight ones. Yeah.
I get my wine bottles and do it with wine bottles.
Because otherwise we stretch and exercise every other part of our body, but our hands are doing this all day. So that's really important. And then the other practices that I do, I journal just when I need to. I don't have like a set time, or I'll just do some writing out of things that I'm thinking about, things I want to let go of. I will do a little kinesiology balance on myself when I need to. So that's a couple times a week, just to like reset, clear, realign, release things I don't want to be carrying or holding on to, and then call in what I am working towards. What else? Yeah, I pull oracle cards, so I'll pull a card or two each morning. I love burning candles in Palo Santo, the beautiful sacred wood that smells amazing. And then otherwise I just do whatever I need to do. So like I'll go to acupuncture every few weeks. I get a massage when I want one. And for me, self-care is also just like switching off my computer and everything, going into the bedroom or to the couch with a cup of tea and like reading a book, watching a Netflix show, and just not doing anything else and just resting. Yeah, so that's what I do.
That sounds so good.
Yeah.
And when you feel like, oh, you know what, I feel like I'm losing that trust, you do something specific that you need.
Do you know what I often do? I'll just do a really simple meditation where I put my hands on different areas of my body that might feel a bit stressed, and just breathe into that area for a bit. And it's amazing how 3 minutes of that, 2 minutes, however long you could do it for, helps you come out of your head and into your body.
So you'll sort of go in and go, okay, which area is it? So you can kind of tell, can you? So chest,
or you
heart.
could just start with, you could just put your hands on your heart. Or, you know how sometimes people will say, I've got a knot in my belly?
Yeah.
Put your hands on your belly. Or if my hips are feeling quite tight, I'll put my hands on my hips. Or if I'm lying in bed, sometimes I do it before I start my day. It's like self-Reiki, because I've done Reiki as well. So it's like, I'm kind of doing self-Reiki, but if you haven't studied Reiki, you just put your hands on and just imagine beautiful white light coming into you, or love, whatever you are feeling you need. I might do it on my throat if I'm about to speak at an event. Temples if I'm overthinking, eyes if I'm like trying to look ahead too much. So you just kind of choose what feels good. Neck if you're feeling tense, shoulders. You could even just try and do like a bit of a massage while you do it.
Yeah.
But when you are stuck in your head, you're overthinking, you're zooming ahead, you're worrying, you're forcing, controlling, all of that. When you're obviously in a negative state, there's also the times where you're focused and like it's not always negative, but you're feeling that you're too in your head.
That's where I spend way too much time.
Do you just take a breath and you drop in like this? Or you take a breath and you go from lower tummy to upper tummy to like ribs, heart, and you just go up. And a few moments of that and slow, like deep, conscious, mindful breathing. And you'll just feel everything go. And you'll be like, oh, I'm okay. Like everything, I can manage this. You just come back to yourself, and it also lets you see that you can have all those overthinking, worrying thoughts, but you disconnect. So you're like, I see you and I raise you calm thoughts. It's fine to have them. We can often think that if we're having them, there's something wrong, or we're bad, or whatever else you think. But we're human, so we're going to have all the thoughts. It's just you can start to allow yourself to think more positively, and to not be defined by the stressful thoughts, and to not reiterate and carry that pattern, or that pattern forward. So it's like I see that that's what I'm doing. What can I do now to shift that? Or do I need to listen to that? Do I need to do the opposite of that? What do I need to do with that thought? Do I just need to be like, that's a thought, it's not fact or the truth, I'm just going to let that roll past me? Versus it being like, everything I think is 100% the truth. Like sometimes it's not.
Yes.
And so it's just to come back into your body, because when we're in our body, we trust. And we are grounded and centered and aligned. And when we're in our heads too much, as I said, in the imbalanced version, we're racing, rushing, zooming, forcing, and we're not in our body. And then we can feel anxious, get the knot in our stomach, feel that the butterflies in our stomach, and almost like coming up into our heart.
Get a rash.
And your throat
can rash at the moment.
So put your hand over the rash or wherever it feels good, and just breathe into it and bring everything back to your body. Yeah.
It's so good to get these tangible things that we can do, because I think so often we're in that moment, in that headspace. I mean, sometimes it's can last for weeks and months, and we think there's nothing I can do. I need something external to fix this. I need to get this job. I need this to happen in my business. And to know, and you've got so many of these beautiful, resources on your website, your book and everything, to know that there's these actual things that you can do. They may seem really little, but they do actually make this big difference. And especially if you're thinking, I need this job to make me happy, you have to be able to hold within whatever you're trying to call in, right? So like make space and feel that already within you, so that you can be aligned to that energetically, so that you can call it in. If you're only looking for it to make you happy, and then you get it, there's that saying, wherever you go, there you are. Why would that job be the thing that makes you all of a sudden happy? So it's to call your energy back to you. And as you just said, like, it can sound like it's the smallest thing, but then when you try it, you're like, oh wait, that really helped me. So just keep putting your hands somewhere on you and breathing. Just keep coming back to your breath and your body, even if that's all you do to start. And then you're like, I'm going to try some journaling. I'm going to try some whatever. Like, you just choose what feels good for you. And then you find a way. It's just about finding a way to call your energy back, so that you come back into your body and you're not racing in your mind. And in your book, It's All Good. Woo, that's so beautiful. Next to the You Are Enough. I mean, it's so perfect. when you've heard from people, when people have been reading it, is there been something that's really, I mean, I'm sure there's been lots, but what's kind of do you find is springing out of there over and over again?
It's such a good question. I think a lot of people have said to me, a lot of people have said to me, I've had the book on my shelf for months and I've only just started reading it and I need it now at this exact time. And I think that about every book. That I feel like sometimes you buy a book and it sits on your bookshelf for years and then you pick it up and you're like, oh, this is why I have not read this book yet. Like I needed it now.
Yeah.
And because it's so good, is a book that is, look, you can pick it up at any time if you're feeling stuck in your head or out of trust or out of alignment or you feel like your flow is so far away from you. But it's also a book that I think is going to be so helpful when women, or anyone really, men and women, are at a point where they're like, I'm ready for what's next, but I feel like I'm not there yet. So it's about integrating and recalibrating from things that you've already learned so that you're really ready to spring up and go into this next level of whatever, your life, business, whatever, career, relationships. And so I think people, they feel called to it, to pick it up and flick through, but then they're like, wait, there's going to be a point where I really deeply need the work in this book. And so it's actually hilariously, to answer your question, what I'm finding is people are reading the book at the time they need it most, which is such a beautiful way that they're trusting and surrendering to when they actually need the book, if that makes sense.
How incredible for you to have that there for all of us when we need it the most, to find that trust, to stop that pushing, to kind of to look at, I guess, those expectations in a much healthier, holistic way. We are so very, very, very lucky to have you, Cassie Mendoza-Jones.
Thank you.
Aren't we? How great is that? I mean, there are so many things that you can take away from what Cassie's had to say today, from her books. I've got the link up there for your website, and you've got some free stuff on there that people can go to.
Yeah, so there's meditations, workbooks. There's also an It's All Good toolkit. So if you purchase the book, you can get the toolkit. And there's a workshop, meditations, and a few other bonuses in there.
And she does coaching as well. So you'd be putting your hand up for that, wouldn't you? It's been wonderful to have you here. And remember, those little things that you do really do add up to making a big difference to the way that you feel and live your life. Massive thank you to Lorna Jane for my outfit, which I have not taken off because it's been so cold. If you would like this episode or any future episodes to your inbox or to watch any of the episodes, head to 2minutemoves.com/live TV and pop in your details and you will see them all there. Like and share this episode, and we would really love to continue the conversation with you in the comments. Has there been something in the past where you haven't been feeling that great that's really worked for you, that's helped shift you forward? Or has there been something from this episode that's really resonated that maybe that you want to try, or something that you're struggling with? Whatever it is, we'll continue the conversation there. Wonderful to have you here, and we'll see you for another episode of the Excuse Buster Show very soon. Bye. Bye.
Thank you.
Oh, you're amazing.
You are.